Good morning, Congressman. How you doing?
Good morning, Garret. How are you?
I'm okay. So, the news has come fast and furiously with Joe Biden being on the list of 39 people. He's one of the 39 people requesting to unmask Mike Flynn. Before the reasons why and what you think all these people were even doing with it, the president has come out and told Maria Bartiromo, we caught him. They should be going to jail. And he sent out a tweet less than an hour ago saying that if he were a senator or a congressman, the first person he would call would be Barack Obama, because he basically is the kingpin in this whole situation. And he called on Lindsey Graham to call him to testify. No more Mr. Nice Guy, just do it. What's your reaction to all that?
Well, I mean, the point is real clear. I mean, the timeline is very clear on this, on when the unmaskings took place. So you have a lot of problems here. First of all, it's sitting in the Oval Office with President Obama and Joe Biden and Clapper and Comey and the two Susans, and they're sitting in there, and Brennan. And oddly enough, right after that meeting, there's a one-on-one between Comey and Obama where the subject is Michael Flynn. So this seems to go right to the White House, and this is early in January. That meeting was January 6th of 2017, before the president's even been sworn in yet. And as you move through this timeline, what you see is there's a series and a flurry of meetings. Then that same group goes up to meet with Donald Trump the next day at Trump Tower to give him a briefing. And then again, Comey, this testimony came out. He's there trying to get Trump to talk about Russia. At the same time, now with the transcripts being released, all of them say there was nothing there between Russia and Trump's campaign. So they are taking a public attack through the media. They're leaking things to the media, which is illegal. And then at the same time, they're also trying to set these people up, the president, Michael Flynn, etc. And so you have a 2-week period where this whole thing is coming down, and in January 2017, this is nothing short of, in my opinion, an effort to take down the president, the newly elected president, before he's even sworn in. We used to call that type of thing a coup.
Yeah. So where do we go from here? Do we do what the president said and bring in Obama? I mean, it's very convenient that Obama's name's not on there, but his chief of staff, Dennis McDonough, is, and he requested several times to have Flynn unmasked, including on the same day that Oval Office meeting happened, January 5th, 2017. So do we call all these people to testify? Because, I'm getting sick of my wife asking me, I don't care, or tell me, I don't care, when are people going to prison?
Yeah. So Congress can make a recommendation for a criminal referral to the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the one that has to get the indictments or file charges and bring these people to justice. Now, you can bring in Barack Obama. He's not going to tell you anything. You and I both know that. And you can bring in Joe Biden. And who knows what in the world Joe Biden will tell you. He's going to call you a Pony Express dog-faced boy or something like that. But the point is, he's not going to give you anything to really grasp on, if they even come in at all. But Lindsey Graham should be holding hearings, because we can't hold hearings in the House because Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff are controlling the levers of the congressional committees that would normally do it, which is mine and Judiciary, which is headed up by Nadler, and the Intelligence Committee. But you have got to do this. In the meantime, I am so tired of waiting and having people tell me, we're just waiting for Durham to bring action. Durham is a stand-up guy, but when is he going to bring any indictments against anybody? And all of this has to happen. American people want this. They want transparency. They want people to be held accountable.
I agree with you. Congressman Andy Biggs is on KNST AM 790. Before we go into the people on this list and, how this actually happens and everything else, I don't know if you saw on Hannity's TV show a few days ago, Matt Gaetz basically, called out Paul Ryan and Trey Gowdy. Yeah. When the Republicans controlled the House, they basically stopped any subpoenas from being issued for any of these people to question them. Yet the Democrats go out there and they impeach Trump on garbage. I mean, they'll do anything they can to get Trump. Is this more of a problem where we have still a bunch of never Trumpers that will not let anybody go to prison for this?
Yeah. Now, look, in early 2017, when Mueller was appointed, people like me and Gomert started talking about Mueller. Problems there. We started asking. I started asking. We sent letters asking for subpoenas to the Judiciary Chairman. Those who were sitting in oversight were requesting subpoenas. We could not get subpoenas. Ryan would not authorize subpoenas, and those two committee chairmen who were Republicans would not authorize subpoenas. For a long time, they didn't believe us when we said, there is smoke here and there is fire here. We've got to get to the bottom of it. It wasn't until the very end where you started getting more revelations about Strzok and Page, and you started seeing some emails come out. That's when they started giving subpoenas out. And the bottom line was, so those of us who were on top of this were begging for support from Paul and our committee chairman. We were not getting it, and that's the biggest frustration I have. And then of course we knew what would happen if the House went Democrat, and you saw what would happen: subpoena after subpoena, impeachment hearings in a closed setting, leaking by Adam Schiff of secret information with no comeuppance, and at the same time we can't get Christopher Wray to this day to release and declassify information that I think is integral. And a lot of these are called 302s. They're the FBI's interview notes. But by the way, why aren't they videotaping or audio taping these things? Why are they just able to go and? I find this to be very disturbing. But anyway, they won't declassify this, and I've written letters. We've begged. I've taken this up to the highest level within the administration, and I think Christopher Wray, it's long past time for him to go because he's not forthcoming with information.
Really quick, could the president declassify that himself? All that information?
He won't. That'd be unusual for a president to do that. What he will do is I know he's asked the DOJ and his attorneys declassify this stuff, get in there and look at it and declassify everything you can. He knows that it's all exculpatory. He knows that if the truth comes out, the American people are going to be able to see it, and there will be no refuting it. I mean, people like Adam Schiff who live in some kind of alternative universe who thinks that even if there's no evidence and there's evidence that there's no evidence, he could still lie. You're going to always have those people. But the vast majority of American people who look at this would say, there's nothing there, there never has been anything there, and there was an abuse of power by the Obama administration state police apparatus.
I want to play something for you, Congressman Eddie Biggs on KNST. Real quick, this is a flash in the past, and I'm sure you remember this when James Clapper accidentally admitted that Obama ordered all of this spying. It's a 25-second soundbite, and then I have a follow-up question. I want you to hear this. Listen, here we go.
If it weren't for President Obama, we might not have done the intelligence community assessment that we did that set off a whole sequence of events which are unfolding today, notably Special Counsel Mueller's investigation. President Obama is responsible for that, and it was he who tasked us to do that intelligence community assessment in the first place. I think that's an important point when it comes to critiquing President Obama.
He tasked us. There were 39 people that are on that list. His name is not on there for requesting the unmasking. The president has come out and said, Obama did this. Do you think Obama is the ringleader here and ordered the spying by unmasking, trying to find out anything Mike Flynn would say, and they could use it against him so he could say something about President Trump and they can get him out of there?
Yeah, here's the way I think this probably went down. I'm speculating here, but the IRS scandal where they were abusing the IRS against political opponents kind of lends credence to this. I believe that these intelligence operatives went to Obama because Obama wanted to do something regarding to Trump, and they said, "Look, we think we've got a way to go here with Michael Flynn. We need to look into Michael Flynn." And he said, "Okay, let's do it." And he tasked them to do it, and I think that's the way it happened. I don't think that he said, okay, Michael Flynn's the guy. I think somebody brought to him and said, these are some avenues that we can go, and he said, okay, let's do the Michael Flynn. That sounds promising. I bet that's the way it happened. I speculate that that's the way it happened. I don't know that that happened that way. But I will tell you one other thing. You explained to me why the ambassador to Turkey and the ambassador to Italy are requesting unmaskings for Michael Flynn, as if they knew Michael Flynn and wanted to unmask him. Something was going on, a massive leak, people talking around the water cooler, gossip, and that tells you why you got to get rid of the FISA Court, because it does nothing to protect United States citizens.
And that's the thing. And I know you're trying this, and I'm going to talk about that. But I was going to ask you about these random people. I mean, there's someone on here, the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury named Sarah Raskin. What does she have to do with trying to figure out what Mike Flynn had to say? So if all of this stuff happened, right, tell me what is illegal?
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So we've been looking at it in my office. It's like, where's the legality? So if they're leaking it or using it to abuse power, I mean, there are ways to pigeonhole this into the United States Code. But specifically wrongful unmasking, I don't know that we can find that yet. And so what my office is doing is I told them, well, then we need to draft legislation, because wrongful unmasking should be a felony, because you're abusing the civil rights of a U.S. citizen. And it's not there, apparently, but there are other avenues to go at if you would go after him. And becomes the whole thing. And don't forget that you have got these people that testified in secret that there was nothing going on there, and then some of them came and testified differently. So you've got some potential perjury to Congress violations for some of those folks. And then the fact that you've got yo-yos all over the world who are low-level bureaucrats or political appointees that are asking for unmasking of a specific individual. And the other thing, too, Garrett, this has not been commented on much, and this has got to be made known. In this report, we find out it wasn't just Michael Flynn that they were asking to unmask. There were other people as well, who we don't know who those people are yet. So we need to know who all, or at least how many other people were they requesting being unmasked. And because it looks like this was all being done, cooked up to try to get somebody for political purposes, and we're going to stand and let that happen in America? We can't let that happen.
No, we can't. Do you think that Richard Grinnell, who is the acting director of DNI, I mean, why won't he just release those names? Does somebody have to write him a letter like Rand Paul did and says, who are the rest of the people they tried to unmask or they requested to unmask?
Well, I think the concern is then we're asking for effectively unmasking. Did they unmask? So we don't know. Did they unmask all these other people? And if they did, then we should know who they are, and then we should know who all sought to unmask all those other people. How many requests were granted to unmask these people? This is a massive, massive problem, and it looks like it's deep and it's broad.
So, and Congressman Andy Biggs is on KNST AM 790. The whole FISA process, isn't the whole point of it basically to kind of eavesdrop on terrorists? And if there's an American that is there that is talking to them, then they could unmask that person to find out who is working with a terrorist, which I still don't understand, because why not at that point get a warrant to legally spy on them or listen to their phone calls, right? Shouldn't that be how it works?
Well, that's my point. So I introduced legislation to do exactly that, to eliminate the FISA court, and basically because you really don't need a FISA court to be able to spy on foreign spies and terrorists, etc. You can do that. The question was, how do you protect American citizens? That's why the FISA court was actually established. So the reality is the standards are different than an Article III constitutional court. So go to an Article III court. We do it all the time. When you have organized crime, for instance, you go in, you make your case, you get your warrants, you wiretap, And guess what you do? You can ask that it be sealed because you don't want that leaking and getting out there and spoiling your case. But you can do all of that in an Article III court. This notion of having a secret court that is not transparent is like a star chamber. That's really what it is. And you're seeing the ramifications when you get somebody like a Michael Flynn, where this thing goes broad throughout the intelligence community, the police apparatus of the country, and then you go after Michael Flynn. For what reason? Oh, for political purposes. That's why we're doing it.
So do you think that you're going to be able to actually just get rid of the FISA court? I mean, there are still even Republicans that love the idea that they could spy on people whenever they want. And, that's one question. Another question is the media is now running with the narrative that, look, Trump's actually made more unmasking requests than Obama did. Now, he's not using it for political purposes that we know of. But I mean, it seems pretty dangerous. Do you think you're going to be able to get the support to get rid of this?
Well, no, and I'll tell you what, two real quick problems. Number one, we don't control the House, and there's a broad coalition of bipartisan coalition of Republicans and Democrats that want to get rid of it, but we still can't get enough votes in the House, and so they passed out a reauthorization. It's sitting over in the Senate right now, and Mike Lee was able to get a small amendment on that yesterday, 77 votes. But it's a small amendment. I don't even get to the weeds on what it does, but it doesn't really move the needle too much. And those of us who want to repeal it, I mean, there's maybe 20 in the Senate, and there's probably a third of the House. And then you've got people who just think that the world's going to fall apart if you don't have it. But I'll just point out, for the last 70 days, you have not had FISA because it has expired. And this is a reauthorization. It's already expired. And the world has not fallen apart, at least except for on the shutdowns and the COVID-19 aspect. Nothing with regard to the terrorist front has happened. That's because you don't need the FISA court.
That's phenomenal news you just brought up. Let's switch, if you don't mind, Congressman Biggs. I know we're running out of time. So Arizona is in the first phase. I mean, we're pretty open. We don't know about schools yet, but Ducey, I think, finally saw the light after some nice, gentle pressure from you and from others, and I thank you for that. What about, these other places in this country? L.A. County is going to be locked down for another 3 months. They have 1,569 deaths, 10.3 million people. It makes no sense. And Wisconsin, the Supreme Court there struck down the governor's stay-at-home order. I mean, I think we're going to see some uprisings pretty soon if these Democrat governors don't relinquish their power.
Yeah, something like 1 million people have already said have gone out and have violated the California extension there, according to an article I saw late last night and this morning. The bottom line is, I believe that there's no constitutional authority from what most of them have done. I also believe that when I try to remind my fellow elected officials, we don't have power, we have authority. It's delegated to us by the people who have power, and that's the people of the United States. They have power. And what we're seeing is a massive overreach on the part of government, and a massive arrogation of power to the central government, which is the federal government, which is not federal anymore, now it's national. And people want to get out. Now, I'm also seeing surveys saying people are afraid to come out. Well, why are they afraid to come out? Because people like Dr. Fauci scare the crap out of them. And the reality is, when you start looking at the science and the data, and you get the contrary view from many scientists who are looking at the data as well, and you're looking at data from other countries as well, you can say, all right, if you feel uncomfortable coming out or opening your business, then by all means stay inside. And you don't have to open your business. But we would love for Americans to be free again, to open their businesses. And, of course, be responsible. Be responsible, but by golly, be free.
It would be nice. Last one, and I got to revert back. We never see Democrats ever paying the price. It's one of the great frustrations. We see Flynn get his life ruined, and there's no way out. Do you see anybody, and I think it needs to happen for the morale of this country, do you see anybody on that list of 39 names going to prison for what they did?
I think there's people who should. I think there's a possibility. Attorney General Barr has done a lot of really good things. I'm hoping that we'll see it. I mean, I look at James Comey. I mean, golly, the guy's just a flippant liar. I look at Peter Strzok. The guy was. Everybody says Comey was the hub and everybody else was spokes. I'm telling you, Peter Strzok was on every investigation team. He's the guy that was the henchman for James Comey, and he's also the guy that basically didn't tell us the truth and anytime. And so I think that he's got to be investigated thoroughly and pay the price. There are others that should be paying the price as well. So the answer is, I hope so. I mean, you don't want to think that you can have this kind of criminality at the highest levels of your federal government. And additionally, what makes us into a really ridiculous mockery is that it's done for political purposes. We can't abuse power for political purposes in this country. That's unacceptable.
Right, and real good, do you think that President Obama and or Joe Biden guilty of abuse of power or guilty of a crime here?
Well, I think you're going to see there's going to be some blurry lines, and we've got to see what they knew, when they knew it, and if a crime was committed, then you have to take action. You have to take action.
Yeah, nothing should stop a president, even a former president. If he broke the law, abused his power, broke the law, ruined a life, but broke the law. I mean, that to me, it's the only way to stop something like this from ever happening again. Otherwise, they can keep getting away with it. Yeah,
we call that in the business I used to be in deterrence. You have two kinds of deterrence: specific, which means that individual is punished and in a way that they can't repeat the crime. This general deterrence is where you put one or two of these people in prison or punish them, then it inspires everybody else not to do that kind of action because nobody else wants to be treated the same way. And that's what they were trying to do here unjustly. They wanted to punish people who support Donald Trump. I mean, you could see that. There was a celebrity yesterday who said, "Man, I hate all of Trump supporters," and wanted to castigate us. That's the hatred that is out there now. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Absolutely too much.
Congressman Biggs, thank you so much for the time and your opinion and your hard work. I really appreciate it, and we will definitely talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Garrett. Have a good one.